Okay, first of all, your name.
My name is Nancy Williams Motal,
Spell your last name.
M-O-T-A-L.
Okay, Nancy, tell me a little bit about how this all came about.
Well, probably a little over 8 years ago, a Texas genealogist contacted me on the phone and questioned me about my relatives. So she was trying to put the pieces together, and I confirmed that my dad was the oldest of 5 boys. Billy Joe was the youngest, and that I was his oldest, my dad's oldest daughter, oldest child. And so she asked me some questions, which I confirmed, and then maybe a couple of months later, the military contacted my great aunt. It would have been Billy Joe's aunt. She lived in Decatur. Her name is Esther Bolton, and they went to her home and made a DNA swab, and she and her son Douglas Bolton provided the DNA, which they later used to make the identification. And this all came about because 208 boxes were handed over from the North Koreans in '93, and it just takes a while to go through because they were all commingled in boxes, and so it just took time for them to separate them and check the ID, the DNA, and make a positive identification.
Tell me, when was the last time he was heard from?
He was in Korea in 50 and 51, and the only time that a family member saw him any of those times was one of his brother that was next to his age was in the Army, and they passed each other in a one of them was going out with their I don't even know what you call it, unit. The other one was coming in, and they passed each other, and so that was the last time, and that anyone saw him there. And all his brothers and all my aunts and uncles, they're all passed away. So, and his mother had died not long after he was born, so he did not. My grandmother, I never knew her because she was gone a long time ago. So I didn't ever actually know Billy Joe because I was born in '49 and he was in the service already.
Okay. What do you know of his capture? I mean, what have you heard, or what do you know of that?
He was captured in South Korea. It's the name of I can't call the name of the thing, but it's on that press release. And he was marched like over 100 miles up to this prison camp that they had in North Korea. And so it was just it was, the conditions were horrible. He died from dysentery because of the conditions that were there and how they were treated. So not good.
What did you think when this came about after you talked to the genealogist and after the military confirmed it was him? What were you thinking? What was running through your head? I mean, when you got the call, hey, this is him. Tell me a little bit about that call, or about how you were notified.
That they called last fall, and from Fort Knox, and they said they had made a positive identification, that his remains were scattered in 4 of the boxes that were there, and they had found it, and they wanted to come and make their, what do you call it, the call that they come to the home, and
right.
They came there, and so they came and to our home and brought me this beautiful book that outlines everything. It tells, his about the capture and this, that, and the other, and so I was in shock that after all these years, this came to be, and my heart is just full that the military stands by they honor their people. They stand by their word. They will get you home best way they can.
Did you think today? I mean, the plane came in, you had firefighters out there with the water cannons. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, what were you thinking today when you saw all that out there today and in the ride up here?
I was overwhelmed because as a child, I remember my dad periodically would say, there's going to be a knock on the door, and we're going to go to the door, and Billy Joe's going to be standing there. Today, that knock was, I could hear that knock. He did get to come home. And I think my dad and his brothers are very, very happy. Plus, a lot of other people too, but especially his 4 older brothers.
And your name one more time?
Nancy Williams Motal.
And how are you related to him?
He was my uncle. He was my dad's youngest brother. Okay?
Thanks.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
And I hope I didn't look too stupid.
First of all, your name.
My name is Captain Erica Atkinson,
Spell your last name?
Atkisson.
Okay, and tell me a little about this, how you were involved in this.
Well, the military has sent us to training for casualty assistant officer or casualty notification officer. And then every month there's a roster, like a duty roster, where you are on duty for that week. I just so happened to be on duty that week that, our casualty assistant office and Fort Sam got this case, and I was called in. And once they call me in, you can start being active on the case and meeting the family and, when the funeral is going to be. It's usually a lot more complex because, if it's recent, you got to talk about benefits and, a lot more complex stuff. Since this was such an old case, the family had already gotten the benefits and, so it was a little different. It's a lot easier for me to deal with. So once I got that going on, met the family, we talked about, what happened to him, his history. I got to know his history from back, from home. And then from there, I just asked them for a date when they wanted me to come back, and we can talk about, funeral arrangements, when they wanted to see him back over here, where, so just coordination. So it started in November last year.
How often do you have something this old of a case?
This is my first one because I'm actually a medical service officer. So
Okay.
We just get assigned this as an additional duty. So in addition to our jobs, we get assigned this, and so we don't get to do it often. So it's definitely an honor to do it.
Kind of different.
It has been a
What
pleasure.
was it like when you first talked to her? The first time you met with the family?
I was so intrigued about his history and where he came from and what his life was like, and he was young and living in an orphanage, and it really moved me, and the fact that he died while he was still a prisoner of war, it really meant a lot to me to bring him back home, to his family and to his country.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Have a good
Okay.
one.
Yeah.
Woo, hot out there.
Yeah, it is.
somebody else might come in and help you.
Order! Turn!
Order! Dismissed.